Heat trembles above pale grass and thorn scrub as a honey badger pushes forward, nose in the dust. Ahead, under a patch of thorn and scrub, a pack of African wild dogs rests in a tangle of legs and mottled coats. The badger keeps to the shade, testing the wind, edging around an ant nest, sampling tracks where beetles and lizards scuffed the ground. Then catching another signal. Dog, several, recent. Bellies full, ears loose, panting, easing towards sleep. The badger slows, sets its belly nearly to the sand, and uses bushes as screens. It tests a narrow run beside a termite mound and slips through, invisible at 5 paces. Near the den entrance, the smell changes. Milk, dander, old fur, fresh earth, and the nose confirms what the trails suggested. Pups below. A moment later, it backs out, jaws full of struggling puppy, eyes hard, turning to the path it mapped on the way in. The pup cries high and urgent. The sound lifts ears across the shade, and the quiet place becomes a storm of yips and running feet. The badger accelerates, but the dogs fan and close. It drops the pup safely to the ground and wheels to face the ring because there is no outrunning a relay of endurance. Dust rises, the pack widens, then tightens, voices high and sharp as they coordinate angles. The badger drops its head, lifts its hackles, and braces with claws that bite the ground. They test for speed, for stamina, for a lapse. The badger offers none, only short, brutal counters, a bite released before a surround can lock. On the edge of the scrum, a dog manages to rake the shoulder. Blood dots the fur. The badger ignores the sting and drives forward, shouldering through a gap to force the circle to reset. The pack is tireless, bred to run prey into surrender. And their strategy shifts from kill to attrition, harry the legs, steal the breath, deny stillness. The badger's defense is built from geology: thick, rubbery skin, dense neck muscles, a skull like a wedge, teeth slide, bites fail to anchor, and when they do hold, the twist breaks the angle. Minutes stretch, heat presses. The circle breathes in and out, attack and recoil, while the badger grinds every second into survival. It shovels backward to a clump of grass, braces and counters again, but the skin along its side shows fresh tooth marks. Strength remains, time thins, even iron fatigues. The wisdom is ancient. Stand when you must, move when you can, and the badger reads the pack's cadence, waits for two to overrun, and bolts through the seam they leave behind. Escape begins as a burst and becomes a plan. The honey badger runs low along a crease in the ground. The wild dogs flood after, not piling on, but shaping direction, snapping at flanks to steer it away from the den and the pups. The pack does not need victory, only distance. Behind, the chorus fades to chuffing and patter as the dogs slow to a trot, satisfied to have driven the thief beyond their boundary. In this place, survival is not pride, but practice, and practice continues with the next breath. African wild dogs live by cooperation and speed. A pack is a family, not a crowd, led most often by an experienced breeding pair while brothers tend to stay and sisters disperse. A strategy that mixes bloodlines without shattering bonds. Coats are maps of identity. Every blotch and stripe unique like a fingerprint, and the great rounded ears work as fans and receivers, throwing off heat while catching the faintest contact calls. Pups arrive in large litters. 10 is common and more is possible. Born in the dark of a borrowed burrow, where warmth and milk define the first weeks. Eyes opening, legs steadying, curiosity widening, and 1 or 2 adults act as babysitters when hunters leave. A guard detail that trades glory for duty because survival is a group project. Communication is constant and layered. High twitters at greetings, low growls in disputes, a hoot that carries far when a dog is lost. And even the decision to get moving can hinge on a chorus of sneezes that builds a quorum, a vote without words. Energy is the coin of their world, and they spend it precisely. Trotting at an efficient, ground-eating pace that covers 50 kilometers in a day when needed. Success is their signature, among the highest of any large African predator, not because of brute force, but because of endurance, relay pressure, and clean coordination. Pups, once weaned, learn by watching and by begging, and the flow of food runs uphill and down. Hunters returning to a den will lower heads and regurgitate warm meat to youngsters, to nursing females, even to old packmates that could not run, because the future is fed first. Dens shift as parasites build and scent accumulates. The family moving the nursery every few weeks to stay ahead of flies, hyenas, and lions, and each move is a lesson in logistics. Risk is managed with distance and timing. Memory, not muscle, closes most arguments. In this society, status is a job description, not a trophy, and the job is simple: keep everyone alive. Now the adults rise and stretch, noses testing the breeze as they leave the den's safety with the youngsters hidden in the cool earth and guarded by a patient aunt. The hunters spread into a loose line and pour over the scrub like wind. Heads low when scent is thin. Heads high when air carries news. Feet a blur at the trot that is neither slow nor wasteful. They read the ground for sudden drama. A scuff, a fresh pellet, a green sprig chewed moments ago, then tilt as one when a richer ribbon of odor threads across their path. Impala, the line narrows, the pace quickens, and muscle loads into hips and shoulders for the lift. From effort to pursuit. The first sighting is a flick of tan through brush. Whitetail flashes, horns like black commas against light, and the dogs surge. Impalas explode, springing high, changing direction mid-air, broadcasting fitness with every bound, and the chase stretches like wire between two truths. The antelope is faster. The dogs are tireless. Staccato twitters rise and fall as the pack adjusts, one pressing, another drifting wide to cut a turn, and the herd pours downhill. The impala escape, but in fleeing, they draw the hunters to an unexpected buffet. The intercept is clean, a closing of angles rather than a contest of strength. The dog snaps at the rear to turn the leche's hips, another drives at the shoulder to fold its line, and momentum does the rest. The antelope stumbles where firmness ends and soft ground begins, and the pack converges. The struggle ends in heartbeats, and the dogs retreat a pace to reset before feeding. Feeding is frantic because time is a thief. Heads lower, jaws work, and meat becomes motion. Each dog claims a side and tears away small, manageable portions. No chest beating, no lone wolf affect, just efficiency under pressure. Within minutes, flanks deflate and necks shine, and the ribcage loosens as breath slows from sprint to recovery. A late squeal of excitement announces the arrival of the youngsters, lured by the smell and by the distant calls that rang through the brush once the kill was secure. When the first appetite is soothed, the social machinery of sharing begins in earnest. Hunter steps away, coughs softly, and regurgitates a bolus of half-digested flesh, warm, heavy, perfectly portioned for short jaws, and a cluster of pups churs into place to receive it. Before leaving, two dogs backtrack to the chase line, pouring dust over wet patches to blur the story they have written for any competitor reading the ground. Even in victory, they quiet their trail. Family defines the next choices. The wild dogs return to the den, not as individuals, but as roles that shift with need. Hunter, guardian, teacher, nurse, and the pups greet them with a frenzy that resets fatigue into purpose. When the sun leans, a babysitter will stand at the burrow mouth, ears high, head turning, reading heat shimmer for threats. The bond is not sentimental, it is strategic, yet it feels like devotion, because strategy practiced for generations becomes culture. They clean each other's faces, they drape a foreleg over a sleeping sibling, they tolerate clumsy pups climbing over tired ribs, and in that tolerance lies the seed of tomorrow's coordination. They move dens when scent piles up and parasites bloom, carrying the very small in gentle mouths, guiding the older with soft nudges and patient pauses. They do not own the land, they pass through it. Their memory of safe paths is an inheritance. They survive by giving, not hoarding. They guard by being present, not merely fierce. In their world, strength is measured in how many you can feed and still run again at dawn. And the wisdom is simple enough to live in the bones. Go together, return together, and make the road safer for the feet that are smaller than yours.